This is NDTV, and you're watching Classics.
Well, amazing applause for you. Hello and welcome to this, for me, a very, very special India Questions, because I have one of my favorite people. He doesn't know it. It's very difficult to compare between sports. Who's the greatest sportsman of all time? People have done it between sports across the world, and they say Michael Johnson is the greatest sportsman of all time. What about Indian sport? Who's the greatest Indian sportsman ever? Is it Tendulkar or is it this young man here? You say Anand? Both, right. It's a tough one. It's a tough one because here we have Viswanathan Anand, world champion, #1 in the world in and what goes in his favor? Marginally in his favor over Tendulkar, and I know this is almost blasphemous to say, is 166 countries play chess, while only about 12 countries play cricket. So he's come first out of 166 countries. And to do that is no mean achievement. So borderline, my vote goes marginally in your favor. But it's a tough one. Do you admire Tendulkar?
Yes.
Yeah? Do you watch cricket?
Once in a while. I mean, no, I'm not always in a country where they show it, but whenever I can, I catch up.
You know, one thing that surprises me about you is that most chess players of your standard are meant to be slightly freaky, a bit odd, a bit eccentric. You're a regular guy.
You don't know me very well.
No, but tell me, there have been a lot of odd chess players over the time. They've got, one of your favorites is Fischer, right?
Sure. Yeah, he's up there. And certainly we've had our share of eccentrics. It's a highly individualistic arena, and by definition, people who come here may sometimes tend to be deficient in socially challenged.
Socially challenged.
But oftentimes they're just a bit shy. I mean, even Fischer, I met him last year.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and
he's a bit of a recluse now.
He's a bit of a recluse. I mean, he went through some tough times as well. I mean,
right.
And there've been others as well who were eccentric. But you meet very interesting, very intelligent people as well. So,
and of course, your favorite Kasparov, but we'll come to that in a while. This girl in the yellow here, ma'am, in the second row.
How do you deal with your female fans when they make passes at you?
Whoops. He doesn't even notice he's focusing on chess. Right?
Well, my wife travels with me to most tournaments, so she knows which tournaments to let me go alone. So.
But tell me, in chess, how much of it is off the board, in the sense that people do things that try and disturb you, affect your concentration, bit of gamesmanship?
Well, basically, whenever two people's technical abilities are more or less matched,
very close, yeah.
Very close, then the psychological battle starts to assume importance. I mean, if I were to play Kasparov or something, chances are a lot of the things concern your mood before the game, or
yes.
how you're able to get into the other guy's head, wind him up a bit. All these sort of emotional
it's a bit like
factors
boxing.
come into the thing. Exactly.
Muhammad Ali versus the rest, trying to psych people out. Is it like that, really?
Yes, and you can try and psych people out in all sorts of ways off the board. And I mean, you remember the Karpov-Korchnoi matches? They just went on and on and on with this sort of stuff.
Yeah, they wouldn't shake hands and they wouldn't do... Give us some of the standard techniques off the board.
First of all, the the Russians claimed that since Kochner was a defector and he was not yet a Swiss citizen, that he should play under a sort of white flag with the word stateless written on it.
Just
enough to distract his
Yeah.
team members for a while, which is
Yeah.
really the point of the whole thing, and just to wind him up. Whereupon Kochner came up with the counter suggestion, I'll play with the flag of the Soviet Union with the words, "I've escaped," written on it. And that is, of course, the perfect answer. You have to wind
Counter.
them. Yeah, you have to wind them up. You can't take the stuff seriously. But later on, I think the Soviets got this idea that if they put some people in the audience and claimed that they were hypnotists who kept looking at him,
My
this would.
God.
And I think here Kochner made a mistake, which is he started looking into the audience. The best thing would have been just to look at the board, just keep focusing on the board, and after a while you forget who's in the audience.
Right.
And then they had the yogurt. Karpov asked for a yogurt. He said, during the game, I'd like to have some yogurt.
Right.
Simple request.
Yeah.
Whereupon Kochner said, but this could be a signal. I mean, if he gets, let's say, blueberry yogurt at 4 o'clock, it means offer a draw, or raspberry at 7 could mean your position's going south. Whereupon Karpov proposed, okay, I'll order a certain flavor at a certain time, and we can agree on
In
this,
advance.
and so on. And
So half your time
and you think
is
it's an intellectual game, but this sort of thing has to go on sort of constantly in the background. Nowadays, it's a lot less.
the match against Kasparov, where I think it went 8 draws, and then you won. And then he started, there was a bit of gamesmanship. He
Yeah.
started, what did he do?
And my idea was to really sort of hang in there in the beginning, get into the match, because you need the experience. And you need to feel comfortable sitting there. So just to do that very slowly and then edge into the match.
Right.
Of course, I hadn't expected to quite win the 9th game like that and so on. And then in the 10th game, he had a very, very good idea prepared. So my own thing is, even had he not indulged in gamesmanship, he would probably have won the 10th game because the idea was so strong.
That's
what he
really
started to do-
generous of you. That shows your spirit. But anyway, then,
But the thing is, he would get up from the board. Every time he'd make his move, he'd make it instantly to tell me, I've checked all this. I know where we're going. And then go and slam the door loudly. So almost the room would vibrate. We were playing in a glass box to supposedly avoid cheating and so on.
it got worse, in fact.
Yes, and he would slam that door and walk in. And then I lost the next game and 2 more games. And the thing is, you have to keep thinking, well, did I start to lose because he started intimidating me, or because I fell apart the board? And I think it's always a combination of both. So if I had to go back, my own attitude then was very practical. I just thought, okay, why protest? With this position, why bother protesting? Because I can protest about the door, but it just look more ridiculous because probably I'm stuffed already. But with hindsight, it's probably a mistake. Karpov would, I think, have protested right
Yeah,
away.
you probably
And you
should.
have to fight at all levels. Even if you're going to lose this game, you make enough of a scene, and then you get out as well, and so that at least the next game goes better.
So when you were being brought up as a chess genius, you became junior champion at the age of 14.
Yeah.
I think we got some potential junior champions here, right? And then you became Indian champion at 16? 15?
That's 16.
16, right. And world champion at?
Yeah. World Junior Champion at 17.
World
and then-
junior champion at 17. Amazing. Now, when you were being brought up, were you prepared for all this nasty side of it? Slamming doors, slamming things down, off the table, antics?
A little bit. I mean, generally the Indian chess scene was, shall I say, more innocent.
More innocent, yeah.
But we had the odd thing. I mean, there was one man, we were fairly good friends afterwards, but he had this habit of having his keychain, and he would just go on and on during the game like this. And he used to wind up a man called Vaidya. And he used to wind up a lot of people like this, at least me. So then I came up with a solution that if I wore a cap and I pulled the thing really far down, then I couldn't see his keychain anymore. So I could just look at the board. And there are quite a few photos of me with this cap. It's pretty embarrassing now, but I was basically trying to avoid the guy with the keychain. He was a tough opponent for me then. But the thing that happened was, as I got stronger, I started beating a lot of people whom I used to find very annoying. And then you don't appreciate the importance of this. But later on, again, someone like Kasparov, okay, you can't just keep growing in strength because you're very close to your peak already.
Right.
And there, it matters that you have to sort of
Every
answer.
little distraction does affect it because it's all at the margin then.
That's right.
Okay, now let's have some questions. Who's got a question?
How did you manage both chess and studies to become a world champion?
Good question. Are you worried about that?
Basically, I used to play in the club sort of Monday evenings, Thursday evenings, and Sundays. So if I needed to, I always had time to finish my homework and so on. That's the excuse. I mean, I probably, if I missed my homework, I might have done it anyway, even having Sunday off. That's always possible. It's not always clear that the time you spend on chess is the time you didn't spend on your studies. It's very difficult to find time for studies anyway. Right. But till the 9th standard, it wasn't a problem. I could combine both pretty easily. And my parents were also pretty supportive. So if you have the feeling you're fighting against your family, then it's trickier. But parents were pretty supportive. And around about the 9th and 10th standards, that's when I became sort of national junior, national sub-junior champion. So I got to represent the country and so on.
Then the studies started.
Yeah, and then you start missing a fair amount of school.
Were you a brilliant student?
I was pretty good.
Pretty good.
I'll leave it.
Okay, right. That means he must have been brilliant. Okay, any questions here? By the way, all these youngsters here are potential national champions. They're all in the... right? Am I right? Fanatical chess players don't study at all? Okay, how about a question from this side? This young lady here in the white here. Yeah.
So my question to you is that you've been given several sobriquets. Which one pleases you the most?
From his wife.
Some of that might be unprintable, but well, after a while, I got Lightning Kid was fun for a while. Tiger from Madras. There are not that many left in Madras, but and then Michael Adams always just calls me Tricky Vishy. So
Tricky Vishy.
and you get more like that. But okay, I grew up with Tiger from Madras. After a while, got to be my favorite.